Hello Peter, it's Richard Frazer.
How's yours?
I'm Richard Frazer from PoliticsUK, and this is Peter Reynolds from the Clear Party. You're also leader of the Clear Party. And basically, just going to ask you a series of questions around your subject and your politics and where you're willing to take the Clear Party over the future. So, first of all, who is Peter Reynolds? And how did you become leader of the party, and what is your ambition?
Okay.
Wide open scope.
Peter Reynolds was 55 last week.
Right.
Peter Reynolds is a writer, fundamentally. That's my fundamental skill.
Right.
And Peter Reynolds has been a user of cannabis for over 40 years.
Okay.
It's been an important part of my life. I've been writing about cannabis on and off for many years. I was a bit of a campaigner back in the late 70s when the original legalised cannabis campaign was around. And specifically in 1983, I submitted a report to the Home Affairs Select Committee called An Unaffordable Prejudice. Right. Which, if you like, is still very much part of the campaign message nowadays. That there's a prejudice against cannabis, and it's a prejudice that we can't afford financially or socially. So that was back in 1983. And then more recently, I've been writing on my own, I hate the term, detest the term, but I've been writing my own blog about many issues. And cannabis came into it again and again and again. And then sometime between 5 and 10 years ago, I began to realise or understand the new evidence, the new scientific evidence that was coming out about cannabis, specifically about medicinal use. Right. Now, I've always been outraged at the fact that my personal liberty was being infringed by the law trying to prevent me. I've always been outraged about that. But when I began to realise that all the stuff that had been said about cannabis being beneficial medicinally was actually now supported by science. Yes. And that it was actually, the most marvellous, most fantastic therapeutic effects on people. I realised that, my personal liberty was a small issue really compared to this, because the fact that there are people in pain and suffering with MS, with Crohn's disease, with chronic pain in particular, these people are being criminalised, they're having access to their medicine prevented, they're being forced to take medicines that will destroy their liver and their kidneys and their body when they could be taking something else. That is an outrage. Absolutely. An absolute outrage. And so that's what led me to write more and more about cannabis on my blog. And eventually, back in 2010, a number of people started to say to me, we need somebody like you to be a leader, in fact. Yeah. So I made contact with the then Legalised Cannabis Alliance, and everything happened terribly, terribly quickly after that. Suddenly I found myself on the committee of the Legalised Cannabis Alliance, proposing that it should re-register itself as a political party. Next thing I know, I'm elected as the leader. Right.
Because that leadership did happen fairly quickly, and obviously with a subject which has got a bit of notoriety as well. You shared a bit of bad press, which came from various
bad internet. I think would be more accurate than the bad press.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a bit of notoriety, but it was focused around the speed you came to leadership, and it focused around subject matters which came up on your blogs and things like that. I mean, would you mind if I ask you a few questions around those? So, well, basically. What are your views, say, on gay marriage, and do you think that homosexuals have equal rights? Is it an issue which Clear should be touching on at all?
Gay marriage, I mean, I think it's an issue that is entirely up to the people who want to become involved in that relationship or enter into that contract. It's something entirely for themselves.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay. Do you feel that Clear is a single issue party?
Clear is a clear. I mean, let me be very clear about that. Clear is a single issue party. Right. Lots of people say we should get involved in other things. There are people in Clear, members of Clear, supporters of Clear, from all points on the political compass. I mean, it's difficult perhaps to see people on the extreme points being involved in something that is essentially libertarian. Yeah. And let me make this clear about myself, all right, to sort of dispel all the absolute nonsense, stupid allegations that are being made. I'm a libertarian. Yeah. That's the centre of my politics. I'm probably slightly to the right on economics. I'm probably slightly to the left on social policy. Right. I mean, I've long described myself as what I would call a small T Tory.
Yeah.
I think socialism is a delusion.
Right.
I think socialism and fascism are the same thing. You know, the Nazi Party was called the National Socialist Party.
Right.
You know, I believe in freedom. Liberty is at the central core of my belief.
So from that you would say, obviously, because I know these issues have come up, so sexuality, gender, race, religion, religious issues essentially, you would have a freedom of people to operate on their own thoughts, and you wouldn't look to bring them down. I know I'm asking these questions because they came up.
Of course they did, yeah. I mean, people have tried to accuse me of the most ridiculous range of prejudices and things,
yeah.
and they're all pretty much exactly the opposite of the way I am.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, frankly, I mean, I've been accused. I mean, it's more a question of what I haven't been accused of, to be honest with you.
Right.
Frankly, if some of these people had a bit more up here, or had thought a bit more carefully about their hate campaign,
Yep.
they'd have made it a bit more. They'd toned it down a bit and made it a bit more realistic.
Well, take it, because I'm just covering you as a person in the party at the moment. Obviously, you took the party position as leader fairly quickly through the committee process, I assume. Are you respected within your own party? Is that
Well, it's not for me to say whether I'm respected or not, is it? But I mean, you know, the fact of the matter is that, I mean, to give you a very quick potted summary, I mean, I was elected at a time when the Legalised Cannabis Alliance, and I'm embarrassed to say it, although I wasn't involved at the time, when the membership of the Legalised Cannabis Alliance was about 70 people.
yeah?
I mean, it's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful.
What's the size now?
We're about 1,200 fully
Right.
paid members.
Okay.
And what I call 15,000 registered supporters.
Right.
So people on Facebook and people who contacted us in other ways we haven't actually signed up for membership.
So do you feel you're leading it in a good way to grow into the future?
I am absolutely convinced that I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
If believe me, if I wasn't,
Yeah.
then I certainly wouldn't have taken all the flack and been through the
Yeah.
unpleasantness and the personal attacks if I didn't have a deep, core, central belief that I'm doing the right thing.
What are the aims of CLEAR, and what are you competing for within the Corby by-election? Are you aiming at local issues, or are you on a one-issue also?
We're a single issue party.
Right.
I'll let you in on a little secret, okay?
Yeah.
I don't think PeterReynolds of Clear is going to be elected the MP of Corby.
Right.
That's not why I'm here. I'm here to
Right.
put our issue on the agenda. Okay?
I
And to put it on the proper political agenda. Okay? And what we will be looking to people, what we will be saying to people in Corby is, give us your protest vote.
Right.
We're after the protest vote. Because one thing people in Corby can be absolutely certain of is if they vote for the Tory party or vote for the Labour party, absolutely nothing is going to change.
Yep. Okay.